So Under the Gun, this one is really serious, especially in Chicago. We're dealing with a lot of gun violence. Are you from here?
No, I'm actually from the town next to Newtown. I grew up in Brookfield, Connecticut. So it was the Sandy Hook massacre that really was sort of the impetus for me to get involved in this issue.
Okay, so what made you come to Chicago specifically?
Yeah, so what I thought was really interesting in making the film was seeing the difference in what happened in Newtown versus what's happening in Chicago. When Newtown happened, the country and indeed the world descended, and they had support and care, all deserved, 1,000%. But I couldn't understand why that wasn't happening in Chicago. And so I had two families, both of whom had 3 kids, the Bardens in Newtown and then the Bosleys out here. And the difference in how the country treated them and the response they got was very different. And, you know, I wanted to show that. I wanted to show that why aren't we paying attention to this daily gun violence toll? Why is it the mass shootings that really draw the headlines?
Did you learn anything about what's going on in the city and the youth and what they're going through while doing this documentary?
I did. So, you know, I mean, I know about the epidemic of gun violence that's happening in Chicago and how the summertime turns into what Father Flager calls the hunting season or the killing season. And, you know, what I was seeing was we get news alerts when there's a mass shooting, right? But I also get a daily sort of news rundown from my producers, and Chicago was having 4+ murders all the time, and yet I wasn't getting that CNN breaking news report. And so I couldn't understand why there was this huge disconnect. I also saw what some of the incredible kids are doing here. So Brave New Youth, for example, how they're making it a student movement to combat gun violence. And then the women that we profiled in the film, Pamela Bosley and Annette Holt, who started this Purpose Over Pain, they both lost their children. And rather than, you know, crawling into a hole, they decided to help other parents go through the same process that they've gone through.
What made you decide, you know what, I'm going to reach out to Katie Couric? How do you even do that?
I know. So I was promoting my very first film, Taft, and she had me on her show. And when we were wrapping up, I said, oh, hey, if you ever want to do a documentary, why don't you call me? Not thinking she actually would, and then she did.
That's crazy.
So it goes to show you that you really need to put yourself out there, because, I mean, I
want to do something and do, you need to call me.
Yes. And she said, really? I would like to do that.
I'm telling you
I know, no, but that's what she did, and she actually called me. Oh, you're telling me you want to...
You need to call me.
Got it. Done.
So Pamela, I found out a little bit about you and your backstory, and one of them is very personal. You had a child that suffered from gun violence. Can you tell people that don't know what happened, if it's not too emotional for you?
My son Terrell Bosley was shot and killed April 4th, 2006 while coming outside of a church. So his life was taken on church grounds. He was a gospel bass player, a college student, doing all the right things. He was 18 years old. He was at church, and my last conversation with Terrell was, Terrell, I said, be careful because somebody got shot at Ford City Mall. And he was like, Mom, you always worry. I'm good. You know, I'm at church. I ain't gonna argue with nobody. And I was like, you know, thinking everything was fine. The next hour, Terrell was shot.
And have you seen your words take any change, though, within the community?
I think we're seeing change. I think there is a growing unrighteous indignation, if you will, about this violence and about guns. And I think the NRA and gun lobbyists might have all the money, but we got a force that's rising up that they can't take care of. You know, the NRA has done a magnificent job in marketing the lie, and the lie is that guns keep you safer when every statistic says they don't. And I get it, because if they stop easy access and stop guns becoming a love affair in this country, then that's less guns sold, less money for the gun manufacturers, less money for the gun lobbyists. It's about business.
This is not the first time you've worked with Stephanie, so what attracts you to her as a director?
Well, we worked together on a film in 2014 called Fed Up about childhood obesity, and it was such a positive experience. She's assembled an incredible team of great producers and writers and researchers, and you know, it just clicked. We have similar sensibilities, you know, and I just really enjoy working with her, and I trust her implicitly. And I think she's extraordinarily talented, so why wouldn't I want to glom onto somebody like that?
Of course, I want to glom onto you. Now, with this documentary, I know you were the executive producer behind it. How involved were you?
I did a number of the interviews that are featured in the film, and that was really important. When I immerse myself in a project like this, I don't want to be sort of in name only. So in addition to narrating, I helped write it. I helped sort of shape the narrative, and contributed to that conversation, and then interviewed a number of the people, whether they were gun owners or the group here in Chicago, Purpose Over Pain. And there's no replacement for actually getting up close and personal with these stories. And many of these people I knew. Mark Barden I knew because I interviewed him 2 days after his son was killed at Sandy Hook. I knew Sandy and Lonnie Phillips because they were on my talk show when I did something on gun violence in America. So I was fortunate to already have pre-existing relationships with a lot of these people. And for the others, I was just so honored and privileged to get a chance to know them and have the responsibility of sharing their story and show the remarkable grace and commitment they've shown to the issue in the wake of such personal tragedies.